Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah,
Hello?
Varoon.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, it's all good.
Perfect, perfect.
Sonia will just join in 2 3 minutes. I've
Sure.
informed her that we are here.
All right, all right.
Yeah, sure.
Hi everybody, good evening. Hi Varoon.
Hi.
Okay, we'll just wait for 5 minutes. We'll just have some other people join in as well. Hi Suramo, how come your camera is off today? All well? Hi Zabran, welcome. Hi Ashish, hi Ramesh. Hi, Sunita. Good, Anirudh. Good to see you back on camera. क्या हो गया था? नहीं सुन रहा? अनिरुद्ध? क्या हुआ? सुन रहा है? नहीं सुन रहा? मेरी आवाज सुन रही है? मेरी आवाज सुन रही तो स्माइल कर. अच्छा ठीक है. तो मेरी Alright, so we are already up by 3 minutes. Good. Good to see you, Surama. Good. Alright. So others will follow. We've already waited for 3 minutes. We will just go ahead. I must say, guys, I'm very less prepared today, honestly. Not very prepared for the session. Animation is not my thing, and our guest is also very new to me. So I'm not very prepared. So take it with a pinch of salt. We all can participate in knowing him better. But it's an absolute honor, Varoon, to have you around on Malhar. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming again.
Oh, well, I don't know who Varoon is. My name is Sally, and I live in London.
What's your name?
My name is Sally.
But you have Varoon Indalkar's name there.
Oh, it must be some sort of glitch. I don't know. This is the first time I'm actually using this software, so I might have signed in with someone else's account. I'm sorry.
Where are you from?
I'm from London, dearie.
And what do you do?
Oh, well, I'm a florist. I work with flowers.
And how did you get this invitation?
It just appeared in my email ID, my inbox, you know, and I just thought that I should check it out because it seems quite interesting.
Okay. Give me a moment.
Sure.
What's your age?
Well, I'm 27.
Okay. If you don't mind, just give me a moment. There seems to be some confusion. Let me just fix that. Yeah? Welcome anyways. Thank you.
Thank you.
हे चालू आहे अजून हे बघ प्राण्याचा आला सुनीता पाटील इज स्पीकिंग
Hi Sally, I just checked. The link has been sent to the right person. Are you connected to Varoon Indalkar in any way?
Who's Sally? I'm not Sally. My name is Sam.
Okay, Sam, are you connected to Varoon Indalkar in some way?
No, I've never heard of that guy before.
Because I just checked my records and the message has gone to the right person that we're expecting. I'm not very sure. Are you an animator?
No, I'm only 12 years old and I live in New York. I'm sorry, am I intruding or something?
No, it's totally okay. There seems to be some mismatch with who we are expecting and who am I.
Oh, damn. Well, I can't hear you because you're mute. Oh, you're back now.
Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so I think my team is trying to figure out the right Varun and Indalkar till then. But would love to know more about you. More than, because you seem to have said two different things already. So
Oh,
really, who are you?
um, well, I'm Sam, and I live in New York, and my favorite pastime is to play ball with my dad in the Central Park. And on weekends, I go and watch my favorite Broadway show. My favorite Broadway show is The Lion King, but my sister, she likes Frozen, and I think that's a bit boring.
And you're only 12 years?
Yeah. Well, don't be fooled by all of this. You know, it's a filter.
You got me on a spot for sure. Um,
Well, you know, I like to pull people's legs sometimes.
and how do you do that?
Well, let me demonstrate really quickly. I'm gonna call my granny, right? And then she's gonna explain how she makes my favorite dessert for me.
Okay, let's have your
Or-
granny around.
All right. Hello, myself, Daddy, and I am the daddy of Sam. Don't be fooled by his accent. He's actually Punjabi, and मैनू ना बहुत उसके लिए खाना बनाना बहुत पसंद है. मैं बनाती हूँ संडे पे गुलाब जामुन, उसको बहुत पसंद है.
दादी जी, कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं हो गया कि सैम और वरुण और सैली की आत्मा एक बच्चे के उसमें अंदर घुस गई है और कहीं फंस के रह गई है? कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं लग रही आपको?
नहीं बेटा, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है. मैं तो बस ना टीवी देख रही थी और इस सैम ने खामोखाम मुझे डिस्टर्ब कर दिया.
सैम का
वो
बचपन कैसा था?
सैम तो ना जब मैं आई थी ना न्यूयॉर्क बहुत साल पहले, उसके बाद वो सैम आ गया और फिर उसको यहाँ पे ना वो स्कूल में ना हिंदी नहीं सिखाते, तो बच्चे को इंग्लिश सीखना पड़ा, इसलिए वो उसका एक्सेंट वैसा हो गया है. तो अब मैं,
Confused.
हाँ पता नहीं वो क्या बात करते हैं, मुझे समझ में नहीं आता कभी
मुझे
कभी.
भी नहीं समझ आता.
एनीवे, अभी मैं
हेलो सोनिया.
Yes.
हाय.
Hi Varun, welcome back.
हाय. सॉरी, थोड़ा सा कभी कभी क्या होता है ना, व्हेन आई थोड़ा मैं अजीब कुछ खा लेता हूँ ना, तो ऐसे कोई ऐसा सम आई गो इनटू अ ट्रांस, यू नो, थोड़ा सा. तो या
क्या खाया था आपने इससे पहले?
मैंने एक आई ईटन सम वियतनामीज नूडल्स एंड इट वाज रियली गुड एंड आई वेंट इनटू अ फूड कोमा. और फिर पता नहीं. एनीवे, सो एम आई लेट? ओ माय गॉड, इट्स 10 minutes.
Yes. And you've taken me through London, through New York, from Sally to Sam.
क्या बात कर रहे हो सच में?
Memory loss भी हो गया है.
मुझे याद नहीं रहता ना क्या है वो, मैं बेहोश पड़ा था.
People in my team would have gotten fired already by sending the wrong link. मतलब, oof.
Oh damn, I don't want to cost anyone that job, man.
Oof. Guys, welcome Varun Indalkar.
Thank you,
This
thank
is-
you.
This is the real Varun. This is what he does all the time. Yeah, he keeps changing the personas because he's such a beautiful voice artist, isn't he?
No. But thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to come back on this platform again. It's great to see you again.
Great to see you. And I've always I'm addicted to this opening of ours. So which is why, guys, this was all a setup. Don't
It's
get
become a
panicked.
ritual, hasn't it?
This has become our ritual. You know, this is like even 5 minutes before Varun has to come up. This is what I want. Dil
Yeah.
mange more.
I know this level of spontaneity is always fun. You know, it shakes things up a bit.
Super good. I obviously have to learn and match up to your level of acting.
नहीं यार, you're running Malhar Film Festival. That's amazing. Commendable, यार.
Loved it. Awesome. That was the idea. He's genius at it. I'd never miss him from. अच्छा वो ना, but वो एक रह गया वरुण.
Hmm.
वो आपका बचपन जब निकल के आता है तो मैं क्यों भी दे रही थी. Child voice.
चाइल्ड वॉइस. ओके, एक मिनट हाँ, थोड़ा चैनल करने दो.
मम्मी मुझे ना टॉफी खाना है. मम्मी मैंने बिस्कुट भी खाना है. लेकिन क्या
क्या है ना वो मैं ना रात को पेप्सोडेंट से दांत नहीं साफ करती, इसलिए थोड़े कैविटीज हो गए थे और मुझे ना डेंटिस्ट जाना बिल्कुल भी पसंद नहीं है.
Sorry, guys. He is really an animator. Also,
Yeah.
you know, it's not incorrect, but this is one part of the genius Varoon. That's the other part.
नहीं, लोग बोल रहे होंगे कि हम एनिमेशन के बारे में सीखने आए थे, ये क्या चल रहा है?
I know people will be like सोनिया पागल हो गई है, बोलती है कि CG एनिमेशन होगा इधर, ये बताएंगे और ये क्या सैली सैम और वरुण कर रहे हैं.
Yeah. कौन है ये लोग? Cool.
No. So formally, very very formally, welcome to Mala Film Festival and the second time to Match My Talent initiative. It's very special to have you here as always.
Thanks
you
for
bring
having
in
me.
so much different energy that I think I go back to my childhood every time I speak to you. So it's super
Very
fun.
great. I'm
Thank
glad. I'm
you.
glad.
Great. So Varun, this is our small community.
Hey
People
guys.
keep- what hey guys? I mean, people have switched off their cameras. What? Not okay. You know, I think they must be all in splits, but still, come on.
I think
Yeah,
they're just
good.
shy. That's more like it.
Good.
Hello.
Good. Hi Shahid. Did you have fun, Shahid? सुना आपने? हाँ? कौन पसंद आया? सैली कि सैम कि दादी?
Sally पसंद आई Sally.
ताली पसंद आई. Not bad. All right, guys. So with Varun, the fun is never ending. But let's get serious. Since
Yep.
we have promised. Hi, Manmeet. Good to see you. We have a challenge today in Varun actually that all the
Ooh.
team who doesn't show up has to show up. So not bad.
अरे क्या बात है.
For your session, people are showing up.
Thank you.
Alright.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So Varun, before you get into the flow of things,
Sure.
everybody here is an independent filmmaker, usually operating from the directorial space,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mhm.
my question to you is, how does a director decide that a story or narrative should go the camera's filming approach
Mhm.
or the animation approach? How does one in the first place decide that?
I think generally people start off with the idea. If they want to do animation, they're going to think about. That's the first thing that they're going to think about. कि मुझे animation film बनाना है, and then they're going to conceptualize everything around that. But what's increasingly started to happen is people see animation is not only a medium for youngsters, for kids. Now people slowly realize that it's a universal medium. So you see a lot of shows like Love, Death and Robots, things like this are coming out, right? So the definition is a bit loose. It really depends on the feeling of your director ki, okay, I want to make something and I'm going to choose animation as a treatment, right? So it depends on the director and also on the script.
Some scripts do well with animation.
For sure,
They're
because
written for animation.
I see. You know, so you will know that writing for animation is a very specific thing. You know, if there is a film that is quite performance heavy, or it deals with a social issue or something that's really ingrained in the public consciousness, then you'll notice that kind of film is better done in live action. Because people are expecting to see something. If it's a biographical film, तुम किसके ऊपर film बना रहे हो,
Yeah.
तो उसमें animation will it. I'm not saying it won't work, but it'll be a big gamble, right? But when it comes to animation, then it's limitless. You know, तुम कुछ भी दिखा सकते हो. That's the main reason people go for animation, because it's stylistic. It's a stylistic choice.
Right. But also because animations are more expensive to execute, you know, a lot of times I find people around who are not able to make that decision beyond the budget. You know, like if there is a decent budget, then they will say that, okay, should we do animation or should we treat it differently? But if there is a smaller budget, one wouldn't even think about it. But
Yeah.
I think today's session, what you've planned is the process of animation filmmaking, so that
Yeah.
we as directors sit in more informed to
Yes.
to execute that. Yeah.
Definitely, because I think both treatments can go both ways. See, I'm not denying that animation is not expensive. It is,
Yeah.
and it does take a large amount of budget to make something like a Disney movie, for example,
Yeah.
and that's a bit more risky for investors. That's why you don't find a lot of films like that happening. But now when we're going to have a look at the process, we're going to bust some myths regarding the process, because a lot of people don't know,
Yeah.
right? And if people know how the process is, then they can tweak it a little bit, and maybe they can find a way to make an animated film on a shoestring budget also.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right.
So how do you want us to go with it?
Cool. So I'm going to quickly share my screen, and we're going to go dive right into the presentation. Okay. So just give me a second. Okay. Share sound. Share. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
You want to put it in the presentation? Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, I'll just quickly explain a little bit about myself. So, I'm an animator, and I'm a graduate from Supinfocom in France, and I worked on a couple of projects in South Korea and India, and then I came to Vietnam. So, at the moment, I work as a CG supervisor in a studio called Bonjour Saigon Post Production, and we deal mostly with advertisements, but we've also done music videos and films and things like that, right? So let's dive right into the process. This we've already discussed why, when and why we should choose animation, but I'll still break it down really simply into advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so the first thing is that it's limitless. You can conceptualize, visualize anything, right? It's very customizable, and you have little to no constraints. And in this digital age, it is quite easy to get work done remotely. For a live action film, you have to set up a shooting, you have to make a schedule, you have to invite actors and all of that stuff. But animation is something that you can collaborate worldwide with anyone, anyhow, over the internet, right? It can be cheap to make an animated film, but it depends on the kind of treatment. If it's flat, if it's really simple, then mostly it'll be cheaper to produce, right? Now, the disadvantages of animation, it's not disadvantages, it's more like a characteristic of what it like the process. It's long and it's tedious. Animated movies generally, they do take sometimes a longer time to make than live action films, and it can become quite expensive as demands keep piling up. You want this, you want to put that, you want to make it nice and big and spectacular. So all of these things, it adds to the cost in the end if you want to make it really grand, right? And sometimes you're limited by the constraint of the software. See, your imagination is unlimited, but the software is a bit limited. So the balance is how you manage to use the software to convey your idea. And we're going to see this as the presentation progresses, right? So I've just very briefly broken down the steps for you to see. So the first thing is that there's always pre-production, production, and post-production. Now, since you all are indie filmmakers, you will know quite a bit of this. And Sonia, just feel free to interrupt me at any time in case anyone has any questions. Okay?
I will do that. Everybody
Perfect.
just put in your questions in the chat, and I'll take it up as soon as it comes.
Right? All right. So the first thing is you all come up with your story and your concept, right? Your characters and all of that, yada yada. Based on that, then you're going to write your script and screenplay, right? Just briefly for anyone who, just to clear any misunderstanding, script is, it's a text document that you're going to write down all your locations, the actions, the characters, their dialogues, all of that. Based on the script and screenplay, you're going to make a storyboard, which is like a drawing, and then you're going to put it in order. So you have you have a draft of your film, then you're going to animate it, and that's the big thing. That's the production. I know it's the smallest thing on the screen, but it's actually quite vast. And after that, it's editing, audio editing, video editing, and then you're done. You know, that's the general process of making an animated film or any film. So you can just easily replace animation with live action, and this pipeline would work for a normal live action film as well, right? So before we continue, we're going to have a look at an example, and based on that example, we're going to see the steps. Now, this is one of my student films that I worked on. So let's have a look. Okay, so that was the film.
Any questions already? It was beautiful.
Thank you.
So
So
anything from the process covered so far, or we go deeper?
we're going to go deeper. So, so it was pretty clear that I wanted to make a film on the armed forces because there's not a lot of those, right? So after a lot of rounds of the story being solidized and finalized, making sure the ending made sense, I came up with a few concept art. So we come up with a concept art. So you can see one interior and exterior here. The reason why I've done that is we were limited to 2 sets of film. So because it's a student film and you need to make sure that you finish it on time within the school year. So I made one for the interior of the ship. So the character, he's looking on the screen and then he runs out and then he sees that something's happening. So there's one for the exterior of the ship. Then after that, based on the script, you'll have the storyboard, which is as you see here, this is the place where you can experiment with your camera angles, the placement of elements, your framing and everything. And after this is done, then you're going to put it in order with a scratch track. So that then you have your whole film basically, you know the pacing of your film, and this is where you can decide that okay, I want this part to be longer, maybe this part can be shorter. So this is the time to do that, right? Now once this is done, you basically have a draft of your film. कि ये मुझे ऐसे दिखाना है, I want to use this camera angle and all of that, After this is done, then move on to finalizing the character design. So yeah, in the previous one, like I've drawn a character, but that's not how he's going to look. So some details like okay, what's his rank, what's his name, what is the color of the uniform, what's his facial structure like, all of that stuff is finalized at this stage. And if you look at the bottom right corner, you'll see a guy standing in a T pose. So that thing is going to be important later. So it's called a model sheet, right? In 3D we have that. After that, then designing the location, designing the props, the shape, helicopter, enemy shape, all of that. This is the bridge. So after that, the pre-production is finished, right? And then we move on to production because you've everything planned out. And this is something called a rig, right? Which means you take the model and you put bones in it, right? Now remember the model sheet that I showed you, that is a blueprint for making this character in 3D. So you will model it, then you'll texture it, you'll give it all the color, make it look beautiful, articulate it, and put some controllers so that your animators can, an animator is basically a puppeteer, and your rig is your puppet, right? And all these lines around him they are your strings. So you use those strings to move everything, right? After that is done, we're going to take a break and we're going to look at something else, right? And then we're going to continue the process.
宝贝，过年你想要什么礼物啊？还没告诉爷爷奶奶过年你想要什么礼物呢？
我只想要天天和爷爷奶奶、妈妈、爸爸在一起。
Okay, so this was a commercial that we made for the Ministry of Tourism in Dubai at my studio, Bonjour Saigon. There's something called Lunar New Year that happens in Jan and Feb, and this was something that they wanted to make to attract more tourists and things. So the brief was, it was quite simple. They wanted to make a small ox character because it was year of the ox. And they wanted to, have it like run around the city, and they're showing all the landmarks and things like that, right? For this one, the timeline was quite short because making a film and making a commercial is quite different. There's very tight deadline because they want to release it in time. And they're like, we have 3 weeks to do this, and we want to make a 2D ox. So 2D animation is a bit more painstaking, it's more manual, and you need quite specialized artists, who can draw well. So we told them we don't have enough time for that, so we're going to make it in 3D, but we're going to make it look like it's a drawing. So after a lot of revisions of the character, we came up with this. And I'm going to walk you through the process of how we animated this character, because the director, he just gave us a loose idea of what, he's like, the ox is going to be there in this scene, but you do what you want. There's a kid in this scene, और इसमें ऑक्स है, they are on a roller coaster, do what you want. It was something as loose as this. So we came up, we did the whole process, you know, we did the storyboard, then after that we did the layout, which you'll see here. So so now you'll see this character is, it's not the final one, but it's a stand-in, right? What we do is, because animation is quite painstaking and is difficult to change, we first make a sort of blueprint, like a advanced version of the storyboard, where we put ऐसे stand-in characters को ऐसे ऐसे move किया to show them how it's going to move, right? And then after that, this gray character is the animation, but it's not textured yet, you know, it's not beautiful, it's not the right color and all of that. And once that is over, then we have the good version, which is this, you know, it's colored and you have the expressions and everything. And this is how it is, the process together. Now if you notice at the top right, there's some kind of pencil drawing. This is something that I had given to my animation team as a reference, so to tell them exactly, ये ऐसे चाहिए, you know, make this pose look exactly like this and it's going to work. Because one thing really important in animation is your timing, and you need to have that, you know, solid fixed, so that, you know, that's where the magic comes from. So iske aage there are a couple more shots that I'll just let you see them, and you know, I'll let you drink that information. So they wanted him skipping on the water. And this one was pretty interesting because they couldn't decide what he wants to do. Should he go around the building, or should he just fly up to it and settle on the poster? But you know, in the end, after a lot of revisions ki usko ye karwao, wo karwao, is basically director actor को बोल रहा है कि ये take ऐसे लो, नहीं इसका acting थोड़ा कम करो, ये ऐसे लो, ये dialogue ऐसे लो. Is basically that your animator is your actor, and this is that's how we approach the animation for this one, right? After that, there is lighting. Abhi, you will these 4 images, you'll notice that they are all completely different. Yet the 2 images to the left of the screen, which is Trois Francisou and the Last Stand, they are darker, they are more sober, and they unleash a sense of tension, or you know, maybe a bit of gloom in the viewer. But compared to that, the 2 images on the right, they are fun, colorful, they are bright, you know. So lighting plays a big role. I'm sure some of you must have already experimented with this or done some research that lighting is really important in like it really projects the mood that you want to show in your film. For example, you'll see Disney films, they all lit very nice and bright. But if you have a noir film, which is say some of Alfred Hitchcock's films or something like that, they are really two-tone, you know, sharp lighting, darker tones. So lighting is also really important. For the Ox, they wanted it completely cartoon-like, so we had to make it bright and hip and happening kind of thing, right? But then another project comes along and they want something totally different. So the lighting plays a big role. And rendering is the easiest way for me to explain rendering is, say for example, you're cooking something और उसको लोगों को खाने को देना है, so you just fry it. So that frying process is rendering. Basically, you take all your raw ingredients and then you bunch them together and then finish that product. That is rendering. Okay. Uske baad, then you've got video and audio editing. So if it's a live action thing, then you'll have some dubbing and all of that. Then you'll send it to the audio house. They're going to make a track, you know, they're going to mix the audio for you. And simultaneously, the editor is going to, you know, he's going to sit with the director on his back. And director will नहीं, इस shot को कम करो, इसको खींचो लंबा, फिर इस shot को rearrange करो. This is that final end of the line. And then after that, your film is done. Okay. So very, I think we can take a break here, Sonia, and if anyone has any questions, we can address them.
Sure. Questions, please. You can unmute.
पूछो, अरे, yeah, bindas.
पूछोगे नहीं तो रह जाएगा.
Yeah, even if it's about the voices or anything you want to ask, you ask.
Yes. So I have a question. So when I'm you know collaborating with a live action film and there I'm putting animation,
Hmm.
uh, so how important is for the animator to know what exactly is going to be shot in live action?
They need to know everything, everything. With one good thing would be is तुम animator को पकड़ के set पे ले जाओ. Like,
Right,
yes, because what I have to do quite often is I have to attend set as a VFX supervisor, because
right,
if when you talk about trying to integrate some sort of animated element in your live action, it becomes suddenly a lot more complicated, you know, because the animator, for example, he's going to check the camera angle you use, the lighting that's happening on the set, you know, he's going to take notes of all of that, and then he's going to take note of what you want that animated element to do. अच्छा एक काम करो, you tell me what animated element you want to put in your film and we'll go from there. कुछ भी.
um maybe a beam of light.
A beam of light.
Yeah.
So, okay, say for example, you want to make that beam of light, and what do you want to do with it? You want to shine it on something, or you want to shine it on your actors? What do you?
Yeah, it's perhaps uh, going around the actor's
Hmm.
face, and the actor is perhaps looking at that beam of light,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like the actor is kind of following.
हाँ. तो one really important thing here is that whenever you talk about light, it is going to affect your actor, right? तुम
Yeah.
even if it's around you, like even if it's something here, if I look up, it's affecting my face. So
Yes.
you are going to have a standby light on the scene, even if the light is not interacting directly with your actor, side में तब थोड़ा तो आएगा ना. So
Right.
you will have some sort of light there, a real light, and
Right.
shoot it with that, right? Once that is done, then you will give it to your animator or your editor, whoever is doing your special effects, and
Yeah.
then you'll tell them कि अभी light, I've made it move like this. Now I need you to add an effect where it's like really really, you know, उस light को blue बना दो, या make that light column of light really visible, right?
Yeah.
What won't work is if you, or won't look as convincing, is if you have if you put a light in 3D but it's not affecting your actors, so it's going to look fake.
Yeah.
So they're always trying to look ki, how can I fake that interaction. Say for example, you have some sort of animated horse that is kicking someone, and that actor is going flying down, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to take like a pillar or something, and they're going to push that guy, and then he's going to have a genuine reaction of him falling back, right?
Right.
And when you put it to editing, they're going to remove that column and they're going to put the horse in its place.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, and also, we definitely know that green screen are being used for this. For example, when I, as you said, like when I push that actor with a stick, the
Hmm?
stick needs to be covered with a green cloth.
Hmm.
I always have this question, like, why is it green, or nowadays it's blue even?
So you'll notice that green and blue are two pigments that don't appear in our skin.
Okay.
Naturally occurring, वो तुम्हारे skin में green और blue नहीं आते, right?
Right.
And that is something that you can, because you'll notice, for example, there was a shot in Spider-Man, in the first one, where you've got Green Goblin and you've
Yeah.
got Spider-Man. अभी Spider-Man के costume पे there is blue and Green Goblin is green. So you know how they did that? They shot the Green Goblin on blue and the Spider-Man on green, and then they joined it together.
Okay.
That is why they use those two colors. But
Right.
technically, you can use any color. But then you can manually go and check. If you use white, then if you've got like white on your face, is going to vanish. There's one actually really interesting thing that one of my mentors told me ek baar, ki they were shooting for some serial, okay? Some Hindi serial.
Yeah.
And I don't know, उस वक्त they weren't able to get the VFX supervisor on set. किसी ने एक्ट्रेस को ग्रीन बिंदी पहना दिया इधर.
Oh, that.
Yeah, and then it looked like किसी ने गोली मारा है.
Goli ma-
That literally happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. So
Cool.
actually, yeah, so I have a team, and like I work with some animators as well. So we are actually uh, trying this process, and we are trying to incorporate animation into our live action film. So yeah, we are also like kind of researching and trying rotoscopy and everything.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Do
ग्रीन
as
बिंदी
much.
से स्टार्ट कर सुरमो, ग्रीन बिंदी से स्टार्ट कर, थ्योरी सारी साफ हो जाएगी. क्लियर.
बिल्कुल ग्रीन बिंदी मत करो. Right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so this is actually leads me on to what I'm going to talk about now.
One
Right?
second, Varun,
Yeah.
this is another question. Can I?
बोलो बोलो. Yeah, sure.
So Akash is asking that he's an editor and director, and his
हाँ.
recent experiment was in 3D camera tracking,
Okay.
which did not come out as expected.
हाँ.
Can you tell him some tool for best 3D camera tracking?
So there are several commercially available software. We use quite a bit depending on the complexity of the shot. So there's something called Buju. There is PF Track. You can track in both of these. There's After Effects. Maybe you can track a 3D camera. I assume this is 3D camera that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can also track in Cinema 4D, and you can also track in Nuke. So what generally I do is, if there's a very difficult shot, I'm going to have my team try it in a bunch of different software, and then I'm going to see the best result. And in the end, you can convert everything to an FBX, and you have to do a little bit of cleanup later. वो तो करना ही पड़ता है.
Can't hear you, Akash.
Am I audible?
Say something.
Wait. Yeah. So during the camera tracker, After Effects का जो by default camera tracker होता है, मैंने वो try किया था. And उसके साथ में जो issue आया था वो ये था कि जो tracking होती है वो बीच में drop हो रही थी.
हाँ.
तो जैसे जो text जो मैंने place किए थे किसी supple areas के ऊपर, तो वो भी move हो जाते थे, जिसकी वजह से manually उनको मतलब fit कर पाना was not possible.
Yeah.
So that was the one issue. तो मैंने उसका एक फाउंड्री का एक कैमरा ट्रैकर टूल आया करता था. अब तो बहुत ही मतलब 2016 के आसपास की बात है. उनका जो कैमरा ट्रैकर था अब तो वो नहीं है अवेलेबल. मैंने उससे ट्राई किया था. दैट क्वाइट वर्क बेटर, बट वो भी इतना ज्यादा नहीं था इफेक्टिव. सो दैट इज व्हाई आई एम आस्किंग कि व्हिच इज द बेस्ट वन, लाइक कौन सा ऐसा कैमरा ट्रैकर है जो वी कैन यूज.
तो मुझे लगता है कि तुम्हें पहले चेक करना चाहिए कि तुम्हारे फुटेज का रेजोल्यूशन क्या है, क्योंकि कैमरा ट्रैकर कितना भी अच्छा हो, you need high quality footage to work with, because sometimes what happens is when you put pixelated footage or compressed footage or footage that is not raw or low in dimensions, then the tracker has a bit difficulty in catching the point. So generally what we do is we track the camera in 4K.
In a 4K resolution.
हाँ, 4K resolution. Or depends on some cameras, they give us a raw format, but they give in frames. For example, like the ARRI cameras, when you extract the footage, you're going to get in frames. So this is raw, uncompressed footage, which has all the color depth. So you need to think that the software is dumb. उसको समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि वो ट्रैकर है, नहीं वो पिक्सल को ढूंढ रहा है, तो हमें वो पिक्सल देना है उसको. So sometimes what happens is that tracker mark or whatever you've set up, it gets blended in the background because of the compression. So you can retry your tracking with a higher version of that footage. अगर नहीं हो रहा है तो फिर footage को upscale करके देखो और फिर track करके देखो, and it might work. So but regardless, you still might need to do a little bit of manual, fine tuning.
Okay, got it. तो कैमरा की फुटेज के ऊपर पहले काम करना जरूरी है, इसके बाद जाके टूल्स वर्क करेंगे, ऐसा?
And generally, what I like to tell the film crew is ki please shoot at a higher frame rate.
60, 120 like this.
हाँ, क्योंकि blurring नहीं होना चाहिए. Because when your tracker marks are blurred, then it's hard for it to find. So generally we shoot it at a higher frame rate. And if they want to get back that feel, then we get it back down to the frame rate that they want, like 25.
So 60 is enough?
60 is good.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool.
So we can move ahead. Everybody.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, as we all know, filmmaking बहुत ही creative process है, and it's very individualistic. So, there are a lot of books that you can read on how to be original, but it's not a textbook. You know, formula नहीं है, mathematics जैसा नहीं है. There are a lot of approaches to like approaches that have worked in the past, or like people have perfected them over decades or even centuries, that people follow, that makes a process more efficient. But one important thing that I was told during my university days is ki, you know, rule ko todne ke piche mat lago. First you learn the rules and then automatically you will start breaking them. So all the rules of filmmaking, there are certain rules how you should shoot a conversation, or where you should place your characters, and all of this. So I know you guys will have already had a look at like 180-degree rule and all of that stuff. So ये सब सीखने के बाद then you can play around with it, right? Then another thing that we need to take into account is that technology is limited, you know, but even today, there are examples from the past that stand out where people have been smart enough to use the existing techniques of that day to make something that's really impactful. For example, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, or the visual effects in Terminator, you know, for the time and how they've aged really well, because they were smart in how they were using them. You know, what a lot of people you know, what a lot of mistakes, I wouldn't say mistakes, but you know, people, when they think about writing an animation script, they're like completely, they'll go overboard. You know, they will like, let's put this and let's put that and let's make it like this. But then they forget to check कि can we support this? Does the film support this? हमारे पास जो technology है, can we make it convincing? तो वो आइडिया मतलब वेरी फैंटास्टिकल आइडिया हो जाता है, बट इट डजंट ट्रांसलेट वेल ऑन स्क्रीन. तो यू हैव टू टेक अ लुक एट व्हाट यू हैव एंड वेदर यू कैन अचीव इट. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि तुम ये आइडिया थिंक ही मत करो. मोर लाइक आई हैव दिस आइडिया एंड आई हैव दिस, सो हाउ एम आई गोइंग टू मेक दिस आइडिया with the stuff that I have, right? So that is a way that you can really be creative with your process. The next thing is that the same thing, you know, 3D process, especially when you talk about, there are certain steps that I already explained to you. Some of these steps cannot be interchanged, because that's how the software is built. So if you are thinking of making an animated movie, then you need to know this process, and then usme, then you can, once you know this process, then you can direct your animators कि ये ऐसे करो ऐसे करो ऐसे करो. But if you try to, you know, do the rigging before the modeling, और थोड़ा उल्टा फुल्टा कर दिया, then it takes more time to correct that mistake than, you know, going efficiently and smoothly through the pipeline, right?
What are some of the very common mistakes that people anyways do in the process?
So I think a lot of people don't quite have an idea of what they want their elements to do. मेरे पास बहुत directors आते हैं, they are like, make it dynamic. I'm like, dynamic क्या है? What is dynamic? Dynamic मतलब you want it fast, you want it slow. So people don't do enough research. So तुम जितना ज़्यादा research करोगे, the max amount of references you find, like, you know, I'm you know, then you'll find a visual language to your film. Okay, I want it looking like this. The main problem I feel that directors have in communicating with their team is, you know, having the team understand their idea. तुम्हें accurately portray करने के तुम्हारे दिमाग में क्या है. If you can't make your team understand what your idea is A to Z, वो efficiently काम नहीं कर पाएगी, or they will do something that you don't want. कि you will explain something to someone through words only, and then they'll interpret it in their mind in some different way, and then they'll come up with something, and then you're like कि मैंने तो ये पूछा नहीं. So you need to think कि मैं written description दे रहा हूँ, इसके साथ I'm giving a drawing plus I'm giving a reference to this film or this book or whatever. That is one thing, one big thing.
So directors using abstract words which could have endless meanings
Mhm.
is one of the things that completely can go offshoot the steps that
Yes.
you may not follow it.
Mhm.
And technically, like, because you're taking us through this, so that the director is not going to be an animator usually, but when sits with an animator, follows these steps. So anything that you normally see that a novice director would want to change in these steps, because for a novice, it a lot of times one feels this is extra. क्यों कर रहे हैं हम ये? इसका step का like extra time पैसा लगेगा, हटा देते हैं. Do
I
you
think
see anything?
I do. So one main thing to understand in the animation process is that a lot of the things are already animated, but उसमें जो animation part है ना, मतलब वो puppeteering वाला part, उसको वक्त लगता ही लगता है. That is the only thing you cannot completely automate. You can automate it to quite an extent, and now the 3D software does a lot of the work for you. But because this is something like acting, you need to think that animated character is your actor. तुम actor को कैसे direct करोगे? You're like ऐसे चलो, धीरे चलो, इसके पास जाओ, तुम्हारे चेहरे पर ये expression होना चाहिए. तो all of these details, they take time to get right.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's another thing कि what directors try to do is to cram a lot of scenes into a really short time, इसलिए the storyboard and animatic phase is really important. क्योंकि क्या you can take a sentence and you can draw 100 images based on an interpretation of that sentence, right? लेकिन if you have 100 shots, you cannot fit that into say 5 seconds, because a shot will be at most like 1 या 2 या 3 second होगा, right? 4-5 second. So that timing, developing a sense of timing is very important for a director.
Absolutely valid points.
Cool.
Sure. Thanks.
Right. Do I go on?
Yeah.
Sure. So one thing is कि तुम director हो, right? You have to make your audience believe in your story. Your storytellers. That's why your story needs to be solid. A to Z. अगर कोई तुम्हें कुछ भी पूछे story के बारे में, तुम्हें सब पता होना चाहिए. You should know as much about your story. You should know enough information about your story rather, that you should be able to write a book. या किसी ने पूछा कि तुम कैरेक्टर पे ऐसे लिख रहे हो कि इसकी बैक स्टोरी क्या है, एंड ऑल ऑफ दिस, ताकि इवन इफ इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी सीन ऑन स्क्रीन, the depth of research you do in your story, the stronger you make the ties, the more clean you make the beats and all of this, that's what makes a film good. There are so many examples कि अरे वाह क्या class visuals बनाया है, लेकिन story is absolute garbage. You end the movie are like ये क्या है, मतलब what did I see? I just saw like a CG tamasha or something, but so there's a saying that good VFX can't save a bad script. So as soon as your story is solid, you have a great foundation to make your film good. Uske baad everything will fall in place. Yeah. And the last point is again what I said while I was talking to one of the guys before, ki research is very important. Find as much reference as you can. Is going to help. Yeah, so from my end, that's how you can tweak the process to be creative and original.
Perfect. The steps are very clear. The do's and don'ts are very clear. Anything coming to mind? Anything? Pucha. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Yes,
You can't be shy with Varun.
absolutely. Because I think how much time do we have left for the questions?
I mean, technically 3 minutes, but
Yeah.
we have the next session after half an hour. So,
Okay.
yeah, so
Sure. So now is the time to shoot any questions.
yeah. Directors,
Could be,
artists.
even like one thing is don't be afraid of asking even the stupidest questions because they're not stupid. Nothing is stupid. एकदम बेसिक क्वेश्चन भी होगा ना एक सॉफ्टवेयर को कैसे खोलते हैं जस्ट बिंदास आस्क इट बिकॉज़ देयर आर नो स्टूपिड क्वेश्चंस
Akash, what storyboard? What? Unmute. नहीं सुन रहा. No, can't hear Akash. थोड़ा सा.
अभी आ रही है
हाँ, manageable.
अभी आ रही है बस
हाँ, clear.
ओके सो स्टोरी बोर्ड जो होता है लाइक आफ्टर स्क्रिप्ट देयर इज अ स्क्रीन प्ले देयर इज आफ्टर स्क्रीन प्ले देयर इज स्टोरी बोर्ड तो स्टोरी बोर्ड जो इज इट ओनली हैपन इन एनिमेशन मूवीज और जो नॉर्मल हम रियल टाइम शूट करते हैं लाइक रियल एक्शन शूट करते हैं उसके अंदर भी स्टोरी बोर्ड की कितनी अहमियत होती है बिकॉज माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज जहाँ पर आप किसी सीन को क्रिएट करो प्रॉपर तरीके से एनिमेशन के अंदर वहां पर आप एक रेफरेंस इमेज बनाते हो कि दिस इज हाउ इट इज गोना बी लुक बट रियल एक्शन के अंदर मैंने बहुत कम बार स्टोरी बोर्ड का सहारा लिया है बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट इज क्या कहते हैं हम पहले ही इसको डिजाइन करके रख लेते हैं लाइक ये इस तरह से कट होने वाला है इस तरह का फ्रेम बनने वाला है स्टोरी बोर्ड बहुत कम लेते हैं क्योंकि वो टाइम टेकिंग भी होता है सो आई पर्सनली बिलीव कि आपके पास ये अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं होती है एनिमेशन के अंदर कि आप कोई रेफरेंस दे सको सो
I think
इज इट ओनली हैपेंस इन एनिमेशन और रियल एक्शन में भी इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट है
इट डज क्योंकि क्या है कि द डिफरेंस बिटवीन देखो शूटिंग जनरली टेक्स प्लेस एट अ मतलब एक शेड्यूल रहता है और तुम्हारा टाइम लिमिटेड रहता है उसमें so because
Sorry, Varun, can we just
Yeah.
take this in English? We have guests
sure,
from
sure,
out
sure.
of India.
yeah sure
Sorry.
Thanks.
So, whenever anyone shoots anything, there's always a shooting, there's a schedule that you need to follow, because the location and everything. Generally speaking, of course, advertisements have less budget than feature films. So, feature films, you can go off the shooting board. The shooting board is basically a storyboard. They just call it a shooting board. But every commercial that I've worked on, there's always been a shooting board, which is basically a storyboard. If it's not a storyboard, it's been a series of images, right? An image that they found that, okay, this image is a good reference for how I want my framing to be. So let's just pop it in the lineup, right? So that lineup is always there. Was always available to me on every shoot, but sometimes what happens is on a film set you decide that okay, we decided to do it this way, but I'm sure it looks splendid in this other way. So then what they do is they will edit the setup, or they will have people move around. So then they play around with that. But generally for advertisements, I have seen them use a shooting board. They always use one.
okay
And it can be stick figures. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a beautiful drawing.
Beautiful illustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just the baseline is I need to convey as a supporting document to my team. This is the script and this is how it needs to. If you draw stick figure na either a character, here's one character, I draw a circle, and the other one is a bit far, so I draw a smaller circle. Kabhi kabhar, sometimes this can also be useful. Something as simple as that.
So bad drawing doesn't like make it difficult. Like bad drawing also work. I'm really bad at drawings. So
that's all right. That's
all
not
right.
a problem.
You just need to find a crew who who'll not run away with the bad drawing as long as there's compatibility. You need to find compatibility somewhere. If you can't draw like a master, find a crew who can manage with it.
Or find someone to draw something for you. It's like, bacha idara, like
Yeah.
someone younger sibling, can you draw this for me?
Correct.
And then they will draw.
They'll
Kids.
draw better.
Yeah, they'll draw unabashedly. They don't care whether their drawing is shit or like
Absolutely.
amazing. Yeah,
You'll not be able to make anything out of it, but they will be very clear. This is what I've drawn. This is what it is. This is it.
that's
You
how
got
it should be.
yours.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I guess the process is very clear. Thank you for simplifying it. I was thinking that the process would go really long, Varun, but amazing that it's actually those simple few steps, but it just becomes to look like an alien word, and hence there must be so many things to it. And as directors, of course, we don't need to do it, but it's just so fundamentally important to know, okay, this is what my animator is going to go for, and
Yeah.
these are the steps where I need to have my pre-thoughts ready. Like if you have thoughts about the way the costume will be, if you have thoughts about the character, you know which step to intervene it in,
Absolutely.
not later, not before.
Absolutely.
And participate that.
And I would also approach it in this way. Think, even if you're making an animated film, think about it as if you were making a live action film. Sonia, you just mentioned that think about how the costumes of the characters will be. Okay, so if I have to make a costume for a character, I'm gonna have to have a costume designer or someone, okay, this kind of costume. Okay, so I need to make this costume, so I need to go to a tailor, right? You just need to equate that for a 3D movie, I have to go to a 3D tailor. Khatam. That is
Correct.
it. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, because I mean, lot of time we end up wasting a lot of money, and hence the cost increases because we keep doing back and forth on the process.
Absolutely.
We'll say acha character bana ke dikhao, because we don't know what to expect out of a character, so that's where your research thing comes in.
Absolutely.
And then once if the character is made and all the gear is all set up, and then to us it might look like itna se we just have to do this much tweaking, this much, but this
Absolutely.
much is all computer graphics, and that takes time and money and cost increases. So this
Sure,
is
I mean-
definitely a way more detail orienting at the planning stage than a live filming is.
Yes, definitely. You need to, I would say that if you're going to jump into it, you need to do your homework before you jump into that. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the possibilities are endless. Then
Absolutely.
just-
Then you can rock the process how you want,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved from your student film, it's just the first shot, the top shot of the ship, that itself is so beautiful. Like it sets the mood, right, that we're going to see something very grand.
Thank you.
Beautiful it
That shot is actually really important. And even in a live action film, it's called the establishing shot. And you have to, that shot is important because as you said, it's a precursor to what's going to happen later in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you, Varun. I think everybody is quite all right with the
I
information.
I have one more question. I hope
Yeah.
it's okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to know that in shooting in a real action movie, we have department like lighting department, we have department like camera department. When it comes to the animation movie, is there also division of departments who handles the lighting part or the camera motion part, or it is done by the same person only?
Very much. It depends, if you're on a lower budget, if you can see, in the 3D world, you will find generalists and you will find specialists. So a 3D generalist is someone who can do everything. They're not masters, they're jack of all trades. They can definitely get you something looking good, and they can do everything in the process that I just explained. But then if you're going higher in terms of budget, if you can afford to hire more specialist people, then you can go in for specialists for each of these departments, and they exist. There's a lighting specialist, and for the camera you mentioned, it's called layout. So a layout specialist. So all of these things you can, and then they will then they know their craft, you know, they've honed it, so then they can come up with something. But yes, in a big animation studio you will have all these departments separated, just like it would be in real life.
हाँ, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. So that
All
brings
right.
us to a very nice end to this beautiful session. I think we are all more clear now of when to go for animation, when to go for filming, and to be more prepared before we decide on getting on an animator to work on that,
Sure.
and the entire steps to be processed. Thank you, Varun.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks
Who are
for
you?
being there.
Who are you going to sign out as?
आप बताओ, who is your favorite character?
Oh my god.
Can I make
So-
a request?
Yes.
Bolo.
Elsa.
Oh.
Elsa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's see.
I have to go now. I have to save my kingdom. Let it go. Let it go. I'm gonna go home.
Always
Thank you so
brilliant.
much, Varoon.
Thank you.
Oh, that was
Thank you.
Elsa. Why are you saying
That-
Varun? Kritika, you confused.
Yeah, that was Elsa.
Oh yeah, Elsa. Thank
Why are
you
you
so
confused, Kritika? That's Elsa. Why are you calling
Arey,
Varun?
she's a queen, you know. You have to be, नहीं तो she
हाँ.
will spread ice everywhere.
Correct. और
Yeah.
फिर वरुण हमें सैली सैम सब में लेके जाता रहेगा.
So yeah, I know. Get lost in that witch's circle. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, guys, and thank you, Sonia, for having me.
Pleasure is totally ours, Varun. Totally ours. Thank you. And
Thank you.
the Malhar passes are in your email. So whenever you
Great.
find time, you have to watch all the films.
Definitely.
There are only 300.
Cool.
So before you
300?
say definitely.
Okay, I think I spoke too soon, but
You have 3 days and 300 films. Go for it, Varun.
I have to work
अच्छा ठीक है. अच्छा, watch whichever one you can.
Bilkul.
You know,
Thank you.
and please leave the comments and feedbacks for people there. It really matters.
Definitely, I would love to.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
we are
guys.
going to join, and Varun, you can also join for the next session. It is
Sure.
on intimacy.
Yeah.
So we have the intimacy coach Astha Khanna coming up, and that's of course a very, very rare topic to talk about. We as filmmakers really don't know how to handle intimacy because it's a third person, fourth person perspective. But as directors, we have to do a damn good job out of it if you want to tell a story which has elements of intimacy. So it's very recent that we've started having intimacy coaches, so who support the director in doing that. And India's most popular, most loved, most appreciated intimacy coach is going to join us, Astha, in just about 20 minutes. So let's go. And please don't be late. Please, you guys turn up after half the session. It's over. It's like really bad. So see you all exactly in 20 minutes. And if you have an experience, if you have a script, if you have a question, let's have it ready. It saves a lot of time.
Okay.
All right.
See you guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
20 minutes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.